So, a couple different things as far as the order. Do you want to pick for the Bears or not?
No, no.
Okay, so you're going to be the odd teams. You're going to start 1, 3, 5, whatever the case is.
Yep.
Um, do we want to trade the Titans pick away?
So as we pull this up, I don't think so. Um, for a few reasons, and I'll get started because I'm pick number one. I think there's a very few amount of positions in the NFL that are outliers where it does not really matter. When teams are picking first overall, other than the Bears, and they don't take a quarterback, I think there's a few positions that are not dependent on where your team is at in terms of its development, where the coaching staff is at. It's a player that you just have to take because you have to take them. They're going to make an impact and they're going to be a good player. So when I say the Titans, I don't need to necessarily trade, is because if the Titans trade away this year's pick to, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand who would be moving up to take Abdul Carter. I
Um,
don't understand who would be moving up to take Cam Ward, even if they're moving back to the next year to get a first overall pick in a dream scenario like the Bears. You're hoping that you get an Abdul Carter at one overall. That's how I feel about Titans.
I mean, it's quarterback desperation, right? I feel like the only trade that makes sense as of February 4th, 2025, is the Titans trading out to 3 and the Giants taking the quarterback that they so desperately have fallen in love with, right? And for
Correct.
God knows that could be Jackson Dart. And it wouldn't take that
Ha.
much because you're just going from 3 to 1. But I think that I like what you said, and I honestly think that we should do 0 trades. If you're okay with that, just kind of pigeonhole what player fits with the team, slash, this is the player that should go at this rank because of BPA. If you're okay with that, I'm okay with that.
I am okay with that because it takes two to tango, and a lot of teams end up doing some dumbass shit um, in terms of trading, and it makes no sense. I could give you 10 teams that would trade up to 25 to take Jackson Dart at this point in the combine and the draft and the Senior Bowl, and everybody's falling in love with Jackson Dart and Will Howard and all that shit. And you're going to get a bunch of trades into the 20s and into the 30s and all that bullshit, top of the second round to get these mid-ass quarterbacks because there's going to be a run on mid-level quarterbacks. So I'm going to just skip that trade
Yeah.
opportunity and just say BPA.
All right. Well, let's enter the draft. I think that you said that you'd like to start. Yeah, that was going to be another suggestion I have. Or, because, it just gets rid of the overlay. I mean, I'm okay with this. It doesn't matter. But
Perfect. Looks
what what
great.
are what are you thinking as the first overall pick for these Titans then?
There's one player available that is a generational irrelevant of position, irrelevant of where your franchise is as a rebuilding model, I think, and that's Abdul Carter. Like a pass rusher like Micah Parsons would go first overall in most drafts, in redrafts, in any opportunity that you can present to any team that's taking first overall. Micah Parsons was a fart in the wind. Him going 11 was the Cowboys getting lucky as fuck, as the Cowboys usually do. Abdul Carter is the closest thing to Micah Parsons in the NFL right now. He's probably the closest thing to TJ Watt right now. And you just got to take him because he's going to make your team better. So I'm not overthinking this. It's Abdul Carter, and everybody's correct for thinking that.
Okay, let's go with it. Now, this is going to suck. I know we said no trades, and we also are kind of picking for each other, or independently of each other, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if I take a player at 2 that isn't a quarterback, will you promise that you take a quarterback at 3?
Yep.
Okay. Well, to fit the proof is in the pudding concept that I've got with the thumbnail of this video. I've got a certain arrow pointed at a certain number 55 for the certain University of Michigan
Oh,
that
you're such a
has
bitch.
Aaron Donald in it. Now, I love Dane Brugler, right? Dane Brugler is great. I love his analysis. He said something that very much upset me today. He said that he didn't think that Mason Graham was a Hall of Famer, and I strongly disagree with it. I think that Mason Graham has the makeup. He's not an asshole, except he's playing against Ohio State. And I don't know, man. I just think that he's one of the more surefire prospects in this entire draft. And I said this yesterday, I think, but I really genuinely would not be surprised if the first two picks of the 2025 NFL draft are defensive players, and those would have to be Abdul Carter and then Mason Graham.
I agree with your logic, and it makes even more sense if the Browns end up trading Myles Garrett.
Yeah, because now we're building the building blocks, right? Like you select Mason Graham, you've got a high floor Hall of Fame caliber player on your defense after you've already traded away a Hall of Famer, assumedly, and now you've got all these picks and stuff to trade for a quarterback again in any round of any draft in the next 2 years. So
I agree with you in that logic. If Myles Garrett and this Browns team ends up being in a bit of a rebuild, I agree. The only disagreement I have with you is, like I said, with the Browns and how hamstrung they are with how much they're spending in that quarterback room with absolutely zero return. I think the Browns are perfectly poised to get a quarterback because you get a cheap quarterback on 5 years. But I get the logic with Mason Graham. In the event that Myles Garrett gets traded, you may as well tank. You may as well go get fucking Jameis Winston on another 2-year deal. You may as well go get some bum Jacoby Brissett to start there for 2 years and just call it a day. Let Mason Graham develop. And in a year or two, when you can get Arch Manning, you go and package those picks and try to
and
get
hey, if you're the Browns, you can still take Jalen Milroe at 38 overall and realize that he's literally a worse passer of the football than Anthony Richardson, and then just get cut bait. You've got 4 first round picks, in the coming years. Like in the scenario, like it's totally fine, man. They can afford to not take a quarterback at second overall in this draft.
I agree, and I think the quarterback class right now is so negligible that even if the Browns ended up trading Myles Garrett for a mid-20s pick and they take Jackson Dart, I wouldn't feel any worse about that than taking Cam Ward. So I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the worst. The Giants, on the other hand, are absolutely fucking hilarious, pathetic. They need a quarterback there just to sell some tickets at this point.
Yeah.
It's one of the most layup, just absolute easy Cam Ward teams I've seen in this whole draft.
Okay.
And the Giants take Cam Ward without skipping a beat.
Yeah. I really like the analysis that I'm hearing from Cam Ward is he's got not the it factor, but he's got like the razzle dazzle to him, but he also plays loose, and that looseness that is, in my opinion, going to translate to the NFL is going to result in a lot of interceptions, especially when we're talking about the Giants. I don't know how many targets you're supposed to get as a number one wide receiver, but whatever number you've got in your head, probably double that for Malik Neighbors. Like that's going to be their game plan, and he's going to throw a lot of interceptions. But maybe the razzle dazzle makes its way to New York, what they need. But I have no faith in Cameron Ward.
Me neither, but I think as a Giants fan with what you have there already, you have no running backs. The only thing you have to sell a ticket is Malik Neighbors, and you need to give Malik Neighbors a quarterback just to fucking toss the ball up and throw 30 touchdowns and 28 interceptions and call it a day and sell some tickets.
Yeah, and I love to break news on Bearskifilm. Carl Harbor here. Once the rookie contract for Malik Neighbors expires, he will be a Washington Redskin. He will be reuniting with his college quarterback. So that is a foregone conclusion if I've ever seen one. So I guess it is my responsibility to select for the New England Patriots. And I'm not an expert, but I did watch the Mike Vrabel introductory press conference. And when he talked about building the trenches, man, oh man, I fucking believed him. At this point, we've already lost 2 iconic defensive players, the trenches. If we look at the offense, we look at the offensive line situation, the stock of Calvin Banks Jr. is falling fast. I don't think they're going to go the Josh Simmons route. Your offensive guards, Tyler Booker's shooting up the ranks, but he's not good enough to go 4th overall. If we're talking about a high floor player, and this is a player who I genuinely am starting to come around to for the Chicago Bears at 10th. I'm going to sound really stupid in a couple of weeks, a month here, when Will Campbell's a guaranteed top 5 pick. But in this exercise, the way the board has fallen, I don't see Will Campbell making it past the Patriots.
I agree. And I don't know what I don't love Will Campbell, but I don't hate Will Campbell. Super super
Fun fact:
sound technically.
I'm sure you've heard this, but Will Campbell, who plays in the SEC and started as a true freshman since the year of the year of age at 18, he has only given up 2 sacks in 3 years starting in the SEC. That does mean something. And no, I'm not comparing Will Campbell to Joe Alt whatsoever. That is a hyper apples to oranges. But Will Campbell, if he's got, I feel like a parrot, all the stuff that I listened to today. But again,
Skarlinski.
if Mr. Will Campbell can hit the 33-inch wingspan, he's probably a top 5 pick.
Yeah. He screams Peter Skoronsky stability. You can load him in at left guard, left tackle. Drake May is gonna just he'll feel safer, and it just feels good as a Patriots pick. The Patriots winning their game in week 18 sounds real fucking stupid right now. When you see what goes, because I think Mason Graham and Abdul Carter would have been a perfect fit on the Patriots with Mike Vrabel, but hey, that's what you get for winning week 18. So
Hey, Chris Foster, yes, we are doing every pick. So for you guys who are listening who don't already know, we are doing a full 2-round mock draft. And it's a little bit elongated in my opinion to start things off, but it will pick up, we promise. And what we're doing is myself, Carl, is doing the even picks, Dave is doing the odd picks, and we are trying to rotate back and forth, but still, corroborate the story, right? Maybe I need to do a better job of telling you who I pick before I click on them, but I digress.
no, that's all right. I'll try to speed it up a little bit.
It's fine.
Having spoken yesterday to our Jacksonville, insider, and I think with Liam Cohen and his limitations, I think Liam Cohen and Travis Hunter are a match made in heaven. I think Shad Khan are a match made in heaven. I think Travis Hunter makes no sense in the NFL. Liam Cohen makes no sense in the NFL. Shad Khan makes no sense in the NFL. And Jacksonville makes no sense in the NFL. So I feel like that's just an absolute match made in heaven, where Travis Hunter goes to a messy Jacksonville team and just keeps being a messy player. Duval. And he's going to play both sides of the ball. Not well on either side. He's not going to make either side of the ball better. And I think that is a perfect Jacksonville Jaguar in Travis Hunter.
Yeah, fun fact, I do feel strongly that the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Liam Conehead experiment could flame out. And that's definitely a team where if Deion Sanders wanted back into the NFL, maybe he's the head coach the following year, just because his boy Travis Hunter's there.
Florida State, Florida, Jacksonville Jaguars. Makes sense.
Yeah. We're talking about the Raiders here at 6, and we've had one quarterback go. I'm gonna make this interesting because I do feel like we could spin a draft where there's a really epic game of who blinks first regarding the quarterback. But in this scenario, obviously the Giants have blinked. I wouldn't be surprised at this point where the run, quote unquote, of these first round quarterbacks immediately halts here at pick 6, and it's Shedeur Sanders. Does that sound not plausible to you? Like, I'm looking at 2 options for these. Well, 3 options for the Raiders. Because I don't think that they'll feel like they're an edge rusher away. Like, they have Max Crosby. They feel like they can get away with kind of a more edge by committee. Tackle wise, they would consider Will Campbell if he was here. I just don't know if they're considering others. I
I
don't
don't
know,
want to
guys.
push your opinion too hard on this one, but I
I'm
think the
looking at
Raiders
Shedeur
have dealt with.
Sanders.
I think the Raiders have dealt with Aiden O'Connell for long enough.
Yeah, I mean, and just the Shedeur Sanders allure in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Tom Brady will be banging the table for him probably. I think it's Shedeur Sanders here at 6.
So far, 1 through 6, I feel like we might be the most accurate people predicting this draft. I think
The only
this
problem
feels so right.
The only problem I have is just that I feel like the Titans come to a conclusion that they do not want a quarterback. And if they can get out of that, maybe Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders go first overall to the Giants, and then that's it for a long time. And
I
then the
just
Miles
don't know
Garrett
if it'll matter.
situation as well. But yeah, regardless, we're looking at pick 7 here for the Jets, and I think you're up.
Okay. So with the Jets, I think we're accepting the fact that Aaron Rodgers is moving on. And whoever the quarterback is going to end up being, I don't feel like makes too much sense. If you can scroll back up, the mock drafts I've seen is the tight end from Penn State, the baby Gronk. I'm sorry, forgetting his name off the top of my head.
Where's he at? Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren there, 6'6", inline tight end. They do need a tight end. I don't feel like anybody's going to draft a tight end at 7. However, if anybody is going to do it, it's Woody Johnson and his family of dick-named siblings. Um, I don't know who you're drafting him for, though. If you didn't know that, Carl, by the way, fun fact. Woody
What?
Johnson and his entire family is named after dicks.
That's amazing. I can
It's
also tell
Woody,
you.
it's Richard, it's God, what was it? I think one of the brothers named like Stiffy or something.
That's
Um,
insane.
I'm dead serious. Go Google that shit. The entire name is named after the entire male lineage is named after dicks. I don't know. You don't feel like you need to replace Brees Hall. I don't think they need receiver if Garrett Wilson is leaving, which I do think he is. And Garrett Wilson, I think, is one of the most underrated storylines of the NFL. I think that's probably the best wide receiver that changes teams in the NFL this offseason that nobody really talks about.
Readily available. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Yeah,
yeah, I
I
think
agree with you.
so.
I agree with
I
you.
mean, he's probably the best wide receiver that's changing teams in the offseason this year, and nobody's really talking about it. You want to talk about the Cooper Cup of it all? I mean, Garrett Wilson, whoever the fuck he goes to, that makes them – he's their number one wide receiver by a landslide. I'm going to give you a little bit, and Foster kind of took it right out of my mouth. I think we're going with defense here. You're going to back up this defense. The offense is okay. They kept investing in offensive line last year. Their wide receiver room has enough draft capital invested in it. There's Brees Hall. I forget their backup running back, but he was taking some
Allen.
shared snaps. Yep. So I think they're going to go back into defense. I would say it's either Michael Williams from Georgia or Will Johnson, but I think they also invested in pass rush enough with trading for the guy
Hassan
from the Eagles,
Reddick, if he's
Hassan
still
Reddick,
under
and I think,
contract.
I mean, the Jets are just a fucking dumpster fire, man. It's BPA. I wouldn't be surprised by Ashton Genty,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say that. I was hearing chatter about how the great, the iconic, the fantasy football icon Brees Hall hasn't eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing in his career. So
yeah.
that guy is not as good as we want to think he is. And if ownership gets involved, it's probably Ashton Genty for my money. But
So I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to the Jets for being semi-intelligent and taking a position of need. Other than Sauce Gardner, who did have a major regression, I can't name you another defensive back on their team. And I think Will Johnson
he's lost the sauce tag along with the video clips that have surfaced about him asking women to have sex with him. His name is Ahmed. So
yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with Will Johnson from Michigan.
No, we don't do that here. I agree with you, man. I'll try and speed things up, and we've talked about this not ad nauseum, but we've definitely talked about this. You've got potentially the best offensive mind in football, Dave Canales. Why do I say that? Because he's resurfaced the career of one little tiny Bryce Young. They need to get the kid a wide receiver. And they tried to go the emotional route by going into the second round and getting that kid who doesn't speak well from Carolina. I'm sorry, they need something better there. This feels like the location for the first wide receiver in the draft. My money is on Luther Burden being a much better wide receiver in the NFL than Mr. McDonald. But we all know what the Panthers ownership is all about. We all know how that franchise seems to always make the wrong decision. But the decision that I'm going to make for them here is to Toria McDonald out of Mr. Arizona. So
Yeah, I think that's so much simpler than you're giving it credit for. So we can move on from that. Um,
Absolutely.
I think just as simple as what we talked about with like the Titans, I think the Saints are in a full rebuild. It needs to be a position of need that is unaffected by everything else. So it's got to be either an offensive lineman, which is not worth it at this point in the draft at number 9, or it's a trade, which is not allowed right now. So I'm going to go ahead. If you go back to the all over, I think it's Michael Williams from Georgia. I think you keep him local. I think you can basically rebuild with whoever the new coach is, which they haven't even. Thank you, Ravi. Good call, Ravi. I think Michael Williams makes perfect sense for the Saints. I think he's a player you can draft irrelevant of coaching staff, irrelevant of where they are as a franchise, and he's going to be able to sit there for 2 to 3 years while they get better. And then if they're not, you can trade him away and or let him leave in 3 to 4 years. So
Okay. I have no way to refute that, and I totally agree with you. Um, we're gonna be capping
I'm going
off
to
the
warn you right now: don't do it.
Ashton Genty sweepstakes, but I just don't think it's at 10, right? Um, man, I think that Calvin Banks doesn't get past the Saints. I'm sorry, the 49ers. Also, up to this point, I feel like we're pretty accurate, but there's also like it's going to happen probably via trade. I don't think that there's going to be 2 tackles that are taken before the Chicago pick at 10. That's what my gut tells me, and that includes Campbell being the tackle, one of those tackles. Um, am I going to mock Calvin Banks to the Bears at 10? I don't know about that. Um, because he just doesn't seem very inspiring. Is Ty?
Can I
Are
make
we?
a point?
Go
Can I
ahead.
make a point about
Yes,
Kelvin
please.
Banks?
Yes, please.
We alluded to it yesterday. Tyler Booker does just not seem like a scheme fit with anything that Ben Johnson has done historically in 3 years in Detroit. A 350, 55-pound left guard who's just an absolute fucking tank and mauler is not something that makes sense.
I
Now,
mean,
if you look at
you could get him down to 340 to start if you need him to
You
be a little
can.
bit more
I understand that.
athletic.
But if you can, look up the statistics of Kelvin Banks Jr. I believe he's 6'4", like 330. There you go, 324. He just fits the mold much more. He has been mocked as a potential left guard and a top 10 pick. And I think with the Bears and their offensive line need, I think the flexibility is much more of a selling point with the Bears and just finding the 5 best guys rather than pigeonholing a guy like Tyler Booker into one position at left guard, which he could not do otherwise on any other team. I think Kelvin Banks gives you flexibility. I think he gives you replaceability where you can move him out to left tackle next year if you let go of Braxton Jones. I think if he's there at 10, I don't think there's any chance he gets past the Bears. That's just my thoughts in terms of the flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the boring pick, not for what our discussion is, but for the viewers, right? Like, we've mocked Calvin Banks already. Um, we mocked him yesterday, we mocked him Saturday, but I agree. Right now, it does seem like the plausible choice. And while I do think that Tyler Booker on the Bears would make sense, I just would hope that that would occur in the second round and not at pick 10. And now it feels like Tyler Booker is not going to make it out of the first round somehow, some way. Um, I watched Calvin Banks hold his own against Mr. Jack Sawyer of Ohio State. He was fine. And once Jack Sawyer switched sides, that's when all hell broke loose. So, would not be happy with a Cameron Williams in a trade down, I can promise you that. Yeah, flexibility in the Chicago Bears, that's the name of the game for them. I won't stall it anymore. Let's take Calvin Banks Jr. You're on the clock here for the 49ers. It just feels like with the 49ers, they're also going to want to tackle.
I agree. They are one injury away from a 34-year-old Trent Williams, from being an absolute irrelevant football team yet again for another year. Their offensive line had some injuries. I don't know if it's that cut and dry in terms of tackles, but it does make sense. However, I think they do need a corner. Will Johnson is gone at this point.
That's
So I can
correct.
see the full. Malachi Starks feels like, to me, a little bit of Kyle Hamilton. If you can click on his profile, I believe he's 6'3". Oh, he's 6'1", 205. So I guess maybe not, especially with. Here's the only other question I have is that Talanoa Hufanga, I believe, is a free agent this year,
Possible. I'm not sure.
um, which can kind of create some problems there. They're not going Edge. They're not going James Pierce. They're not going Ashton Genty unless Kyle
Charvarius
Shanahan's feeling
Ward.
spicy. Does Kyle Shanahan, Carl? This feels like a pull up your crack pipe. This feels like a crackhead Carl rant right here.
Okay.
Does Christian McCaffrey have enough in the tank to maintain this Kyle Shanahan offense?
They're not
And
drafting.
does Ashton
They're
Genty
not. They're not drafting
falling to
Genty.
11?
I watched Isaac Garendo, replicate Walter Payton against the Bears. They can get it done with anyone. I'm going to interject here. Like, it feels tackle, but if you're not wanting tackle, that's fine. I can just promise you it will not be Ashton Genty.
All right, crackhead Carl. Sorry. Scroll down just a little bit on those projections. Yeah, the only thing that makes sense here is somebody like Tyler Booker, or you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. The left tackle, I believe it's Josh Connerly Jr. I think he's gonna be rising up the boards. I think your moves for left tackle and offensive tackle kind of start to bust out here. I think Josh Connerly, he's 47th right now on this website. Wait till Josh Connerly gets taken top 15 and then call me an idiot after. That dude is the best pure left tackle in the draft.
Is this
He's going to
the
be.
are we hate podcasting on J2K? If we told J2K that we'd be projecting Josh Connolly to be drafted ahead of Josh Simmons, J2K's poor heart might just stop.
Um, if it is, so be it. I mean, get a better heart, because I think Josh Connerly is going to be rising up the draft boards quite quickly. I watched him. I think he's the best pure left tackle in the league, or in college right now. I think if you're replacing Trent Williams and kind of future proofing, you can start Josh Connerly at right tackle for a year and then move him over to left tackle in a year.
Yeah, I really don't see that being an issue whatsoever. And if that's what you want to do, we're doing it. Josh
Yeah, I
Connolly.
think he's got the best feet in the draft. He's very much like a Trent Williams. He can pull, he can run traps, he can, kick out, all that stuff. So there you go.
Well,
That didn't take you long.
Yeah, to continue to get your brain juicing, I mean, Ashton Genty to the Cowboys is a foregone conclusion. And if the board falls like this, okay, if the iconic Mason Graham is gone, the iconic Abdul Carter is gone, if Will Campbell is gone, if Will Johnson is gone, if I'm the Bears at 10, does Kevin Warren have the nutsack to talk to Jim Harbaugh and ask to trade down with the Chargers? That would be one hell of a phone call to listen in on. But if I'm the Bears at 10 and the board fell that way, I would love to trade back, give Ashton Genty and his 2,000 all-purpose yards to the Chargers, have them go back into their Super Bowl quote-unquote window, and see what the Bears can do at that point. But if Ashton Genty gets to 12, he will go to Dallas. I would consider that one of the most foregone conclusions, along with the quarterbacks from this draft class. All of them, every single quarterback from this draft class will not get a second contract in the NFL. Boom. I love to embarrass myself, but there we go.
Yeah. I think the Dolphins are going to protect one asset and one asset only moving forward for the next 2 years, and that is Tua's brain. So I'm going to go ahead and say Booker at
If
13
if
is
you said
penciled in.
Malachi Starks, I would have clicked that immediately because that just feels like a stupid Dolphins move. But if you're
It does.
saying Tyler Booker, I can't go wrong with that.
I think Tyler Booker is the easy choice just because I think that um, the pudding that is Tua Tagovailoa's brain needs to be protected at all cost.
Okay. Well, I was gonna do something, but I don't want to embarrass myself any more than I already have today. I love Colson Loveland to the Colts. I'm the even draft picks, right?
Correct.
Great. Well, I'll give you some insight. The Chargers are mad that they weren't able to trade up with the Bears to get Ashton Genty in the scenario. So I will promise you that Colson Loveland will not make it past 22. That is pick 22 unless he goes sooner because of your choice. But in this mock, I do think that the Colts will take a tight end, a dynamic tight end, to try and help out their really bad quarterback. And once they find out that their quarterback is merely a running back, maybe they will still be able to hold on to this tight end and he won't lose all of his stock. But I feel like Tyler Warren to the Colts here at 14 is a really good fit.
I think at this point, the Falcons are BPA, plus the fact that they do not have anybody past, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the former safety from the Bengals, now with the Falcons is...
They've got a hell of a secondary. They've got wow, I just lost his name. I'm sorry. They signed
AJ Terrell.
AJ Terrell's a cornerback. They do have Jesse Bates, who's really good at safety.
Bates, thank you.
But they also have Josh Simmons, I think is his name. I don't know, the safety from Denver.
Jeffrey Simmons.
No. Jeffrey Simmons is a defensive tackle for the Titans.
Oh, you're right.
But they don't need safety help, in my opinion. Even if someone's out of contract, I'm sure they'll bring him
30,
back.
31 years old. So I think there is a potential for there to be a nickelback. I get it. They do also need pass rush help. At this point, Nick Scorton, I have watched not enough film on him, but Todd McShay is absolutely in love with Nick Scorton. I'm not a huge Todd McShay guy, but the things that I've seen from Nick, he is a fucking beast. He is 6'3", 280, a high-ass motor, and I think he is a elite pass rusher. I'd be very happy with the Bears taking him if they fell in love with him. If I'm being honest, I think he's an absolute fucking stud. So I'm just going to project my own wishes on the Falcons and give them Nick Scorton from Texas A&M.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with that whatsoever. We're at pick 15, though, and there was something I wanted to bring up because I watched a good bit of Dane Brugler today in between working, and I had some notes, and I thought that this was something that was interesting. So we talked about Mike Green. I don't know if we're going to get there. I'll throw up Mike Green's kind of little player homage here. He's the guy everyone at the Senior Bowl ran over a guy in one-on-one practices. Everyone fell in love with him. So he's someone who is interesting. And Dane Brugler had him as a top 15 player. But the other player that I was kind of surprised to see that Dane Brugler felt was a top 15 player was... I can't find him. He is in an edge rusher, I believe. Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart's the other edge out of Texas A&M. And I watched some film on him, and by film I mean one Twitter compilation cut up that was about 25 plays. This kid he honestly genuinely is an explosive freak, and I don't know if you know anything about him. I think in 3 years of playing college football, he has 3 sacks. Like, this guy cannot fucking finish his plate of food. And we're talking about a top 15 player here. I just didn't know if you had any thoughts or if the chat had any thoughts. This guy, I don't know if he's going to be a player that, supplants Nick Scourton and is one of these, edge rushers that surprises everyone just because he's an athletic freak. But I'd implore you guys watch some film and let us know what you think on him. But this guy, I don't know, bro.
I love Cliff Victoria's honest comment. Fucking love that shit.
Yeah, Aldo's talking about the Bears trading up for Abdul Carter, so it'll be fun. We love Aldo, so yeah. We got to get the pedal to the metal. We get it. Am I the one picking for the Cardinals here? Boy, they need a quarterback so bad, man. You talked about how Marvin Harrison is the 3rd best wide receiver in the class. I feel like that's disrespect, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is the reason why I think that Kyler Murray sucks. Like, I had that stack in fantasy, hyper disappointed. Yeesh. And that quarterback, I thought he was good. I believed in him, but I got let down. As far as our options here, they need an edge, a guard, a wide receiver.
Buda Baker's also 32 years old.
They need a wide receiver. They'll run him into the ground. He's still got tread. I'm not worried about it. This Malachi Starks, I don't know. I got to watch some film on him, I guess. It feels like they just need defense. When I did, for the Bears Country podcast, I was trying to compile the opponent's roster for the week that we played. So we played the Cardinals, and their defense was about as no name as it gets, man.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you have like a strong preference on one of these edge rushers?
No, Jalen Walker. I'm just familiar with from Tennessee. I know he was projected to be like a top 5 pick last year, going into the way too early mock drafts. So that's my not. Oh no, I'm sorry, not Jalen Walker. It's
Pierce?
James Pierce. Yeah. So I know he's just an elite,
That
like kind of
that's
three
where
four
I
linebacker
was.
pass rusher,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
where
think that's what
he's
fits there.
3-4.
A bit of a 3-4. Yeah, he's 242. He's undersized. So
They play a weird 3-man front. Another team where like they were getting by without playing any defensive linemen. Like it's the Cardinals and the Vikings that have that
yeah.
kind of similar weirdness trait. I like James Pierce here to the Cardinals again. They just need defense, man.
I'm
So
gonna keep this super simple with 17 and the Bengals. They need secondary so fucking bad. It's not even funny. Malachi Starks is just the most obvious Jesse Bates replacement. Nickel corner if you need to. He's a nickel safety, replacing overall Jesse Bates in the back, and so Malachi Starks is just screaming Bengals.
and you don't think that they want to go cornerback like he just Malachi Starks?
Not at all. I think they need a rangy safety nickel guy, a guy that can kind of line up everywhere, be a multi tool on defense. They need so much there that Malachi Starks kind of covers a lot of areas.
Well, I think that the Bengals need to trade up with the Bears to 10 to take Will Johnson in the mock
I
draft that we
agree.
did, and then we can gamble on taking Omarion Hampton at 39th because that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So
Mhm.
Seahawks here at 18. It says edge tackle. It's tackle all day here, right?
Yeah.
Would they be silly enough to take this Cameron Williams idiot?
I think they might be that or the Ohio State Josh Simmons guy.
Yeah, let's go with the Ohio State kid because he seems to be having a meteoric rise. I just don't believe it. But in the same breath, I feel like the Seahawks have a not awful tackle that they could allow Josh Simmons to sit if they needed to. So I like Josh Simmons here.
Yeah, I think it's fine. With Tampa, it just feels like their defense is just getting old as shit. At linebacker, I don't know if corner is necessarily the need here. Um, I think they're gonna go BPA. Siobhan Ravel, I'm not really super familiar with, but Jalen Walker with their older linebacker kind of crew, Jalen Walker is kind of a perfect fit there. He's a rangy, kind of like multi-tool defender. He can blitz, he can drop into coverage. So Jalen Walker on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I like that as well. You talked into it.
Levante David's like 37 years old. Fuck off.
Yeah, and they play a 3-4, right? Like honestly, that scheme's probably going to change once the linebacker and the defensive tackle Vita Vea leave. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or it'll change once they retire, and their coach is definitely going to change because he's like the iconic on the post. He's the poster child. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Buccaneers head coach, poster child for on the hot seat
Raheem
already.
Morris.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Boy, oh boy, what do they need? They need a wide receiver. I won't put too much thought into it. I already said that I feel like Luther Burden is the best wide receiver in the draft. And if the Broncos
Interesting.
were so obliged to have that option available to them with their rookie quarterback who no one fucking believed in, including myself, there you go. Luther Burden to the Broncos there makes a lot of sense to me.
I thought you were going to go a little different route there. I thought you were going to go Colson Loveland there, but
No, Colson Loveland is reserved for the Chargers at 22 unless you think that he's a fit for the Steelers here at 21.
so I've done basic research. I think Matthew Golden is probably my favorite receiver in this entire draft
Is he a
from
fuck up?
Texas.
I can't remember.
No, he reminds me a lot of like a cheap ass Malik Neighbors, 6 foot 195, always open, kind of explosive kid. I think he's a
He's the
perfect
speed
combo.
though.
I think he's a perfect alternate side of George Pickens. So I think you just go in and you take Matthew Golden here and you just get
And then
another
they've got
receiver
Cooper
for
Cup in
Justin
the
Fields.
slot,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Justin Fields just tossing a ball 6 yards ahead of him, and you can try and catch up to it.
How good is Matthew Golden at blocking? I digress. There you go. So,
Not good at
again,
all.
Colson Loveland, reserved for Jim Harbaugh's beloved former University of Michigan superstar. What about the Packers here at 23?
I don't know what they need at this point. I think
Says
corner.
cornerback, edge, wide
I think
receiver,
I was about to
defensive
say
tackle.
corner makes the most sense because I think Jair Alexander has been disappearing for 2 years, and they need some corner to match up with the NFC North.
And
Justin
they would definitely
Jefferson,
be a
Roma
team.
Dunze.
The Packers would definitely be a team that takes a cornerback that is falling and is from a small school. Like, I
Yep.
don't know.
Siobhan Ravel. Yeah. So
You
let's
like it?
pencil in Siobhan Ravel. I like it.
Okay. We're talking about the Vikings here. We're getting to the playoffs. Talking playoffs. Um, boy, oh boy, do they need a cornerback? Isn't Cam Bynum a free agent? I'm sure they'll retain him. It claims that a defensive tackle is a need, but did you know, David, that the Minnesota Vikings played a football game where they only played 4 true defensive linemen, and the most amount of snaps that one of those defensive linemen played was 50% of the snaps? I'm sorry, like 40% of the snaps. I don't think that defensive tackle is a need for this football team. Maybe they would definitely be the team that would take that Starks kid if he was still there because good God, Harrison Smith, that son of a bitch is getting old too. Um, what are we looking at? Oh, I've heard this name a lot. A modern will linebacker. That's when I saw Will in caps, I thought of fucking Brian Flores and his note card of
Hmm.
his 3 play calls. Let's just pencil in Nick Amanwari to them. They lost a football game in Detroit where they gave up a lot of points. They'll feel like they can improve on the secondary. I like Amanwari to them.
I agree. At this point, we know that the only thing the Texans really are looking for is inside line help. Their left
Tyler
tackle is
Booker's
taken
gone, right?
care of, but yeah, Tyler Booker's
Yeah,
gone. So I'm
it
gonna
just
go
hit me like a
Cam
brick
Williams.
fucking wall. Yeah?
Yep, easy penciled in. You can put him in at right tackle. You can probably slide him in at guard.
Well, I figured out why Tyler Booker is being pushed up the draft boards.
Why is that?
He is not making it past Houston.
Absolutely
I
not.
can promise you that. Oh my god, I can't believe it took me that long to figure that out. Cameron Williams, sure, he got absolutely embarrassed by the way. This is going to be a bust out flame pick. They already did that with their quarterback selection a couple years ago as well. So whatever they do in this draft is irrelevant. I say that like a quarter joking. Is it? Am I the one to decide for the Rams here?
Sure
The
are.
wide receivers definitely a need, right? Because they're going to lose Cooper Cup, but they also have the third best wide receiver in the entire NFL. Is a Mecca Abuka a fit here? Yeah, he
Ooh,
is. Yeah, he is. I'm almost going to pencil that in immediately. I'll take a look at the all. If you guys are in chat, you guys know what the draft order is. You can see if you're listening to my voice, we're about to end the first round somewhat. We're in the playoff teams. If you can think of a fit that you guys love, let's hear it. Um, Benjamin Morrison. What do they need again? It says they need quarterback. They already know that. Stafford's just sick of it. Um, it just feels like a Buka, man. Like you're gonna trade away a crafty slot triple crown winner. He's the perfect wide receiver two in the NFL behind the great Puka Nakua.
absolutely.
I love Abuka here. I'm sorry, I love that.
I agree. The Ravens secondary has been mediocre at best. They picked it up halfway through the year, but Marlon Humphrey's not getting any younger. Kyle Hamilton needs a partner to kind of go into that secondary moving forward. Their defensive line is pretty much a, I don't know, free agency, you know, uh, whatever you would call it, like a free agency landslide. So I'm going to go ahead. If you go into the corner, we're going Benjamin Morrison at corner for Baltimore.
Cute little storyline there. Notre Dame teammates probably reuniting with Kyle
Kyle
Hamilton, I
Hamilton, yeah,
believe.
that's a good call.
So, yeah, definitely I could see that happening all day. The Lions, we alluded to this earlier as well. In this exercise, the Lions have not acquired Miles Garrett. And if this player was to be available to them, I think that the Lions would have no issues with taking Mike Green. It just feels like the perfect player to pair with Aiden Hutchinson and the grit and the aggressive nature of their head coach. It just makes too much sense to me, man.
Yep. Washington is kind of in a weird spot where they need young people at every position, and at this point, interior defensive line is probably the most versatile, but which is what they don't need. If you go down, I guess just out of pure what they need and protecting Jalen, little
Look
Jalen.
at look at Ronsky. I think Ronsky was one of the people abusing me in my mock draft video. He said Detroit Lions quarterback is changing his first name to Jack. Jack Goff. That's amazing.
Jack off. That's
Oh, that's
oh
incredible.
Ronsky. That's
Oh.
fantastic. Ronsky, you need to be posted for that. Good job, Ronsky. Just out of pure offensive line need, because I think Washington, once they lost, who was it, Kevin Zeitler or something like that, they fucking absolutely could
No,
collapse.
Sam Cosmi, the iconic
Sam
Sam
Cosmi.
Cosmi. His name reminds me of Cosmix, the place in Naperville. That's just like a spin-off of McDonald's. Anyway.
Yeah, so BPA in terms of offensive linemen, I think that's where we're going here. Ahmad Memboom.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a kid that Mr. Dane Brugler had very high remarks on, right? When we're talking, yeah, right here, athletic. That's the word that I'd be looking for in an offensive lineman playing in front of the greatest running back in the NFL, little Jaden Daniels, right? I love you, Jaden. You
Mhm.
gave us our head coach. Thank you. Membo here to the Redskins makes so much sense. The Bills in this exercise have also not acquired Miles Garrett. I would have to imagine, yep, they're in kind of a win now mode, and they have to definitely replace Von Miller. Um, but in the same breath, I mean, this Walter Nolan guy is starting to stick out to me, and he seems, I don't know, it just doesn't, he's not a need for them, right? Um, I mean, their safety play is terrible. Their secondary is just bad too, though. So
I would
like,
argue, other than Ed Oliver, they really just don't have any linemen left.
yeah, and Ed Oliver's like a fringe Hall of Famer. I absolutely adore him. This Jahad Barron, I remember hearing his name going into the season, and he was a lot more highly touted, but something happened for him to be like lower down. Kind of maybe a very cold take, an unpopular take. I feel like I would love Barron on the Bears so that we didn't have to play the experiment anymore with Brisker, but that would be such a waste of a pick. Um, I don't know, man. Do you have any issues with Walter Nolan going here? I mean, he feels like a
I
first
do
round pick
not.
to me.
I don't.
Struggles with consistency. That might be a very high upside pick that the Bills decide to make in their
Let's
Super
be honest.
Bowl.
The Bills are trading up to the mid-20s to take somebody we have no idea who the fuck.
Is that what you just said, Cliff? Nolan is still there. That's what's screaming out to me is Walter Nolan as a first round pick.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's go for it, man. Walter Nolan totally makes sense to me. In this exercise, the Eagles have not won the Super Bowl. The script is leaked. What are you thinking for these Eagles at 31?
Scroll down just a little bit because I just don't see that they need anything in particular from a defensive side. I suppose edge. Are you thinking Omari and Hampton? No, I don't
Hold
think so.
on a second. If I could talk you into this pick, this is the athletic freak that the Eagles would just be salivating at.
I
For a,
agree.
it,
Thank you. I'm in love with Shamar Stewart. He's an
I'm
absolute
not.
freak.
I
I
mean,
like him a lot.
I hate watching tape and being told by men who are not involved in the NFL that someone is a future icon when I see zero production. Like I trust you, and if you're telling me he won a rep because his hand was somewhere, I don't fucking see it. All I saw was him getting it again, 2.5 minute cut up, get in the backfield fast, whether that was by design or not by the offense, and then he just gets juked out of his shoes, whether it's by a bad quarterback or a bad running back. But if again, Shamar Stewart is the type of upside player. Yeah, replace Josh Sweat. He's the type of upside player that can sit on the bench and collect
Yeah,
unemployment on the Eagles while developing behind a really good stable of defensive linemen.
agreed.
And then, if again, I made that pick essentially. But Chiefs, they've won the Super Bowl. What do they need? Maybe they need a tight end. Maybe their tight end has retired. These guys, Gunnar Helm would really shock me. Gunnar Helm in the second round, probably. Hold on. Sorry, this is a monster tangent. Is this the brother of Jake Ferguson?
No idea.
No idea. Anyway, I
But
believe
in
it's.
this scenario, I think Chris Willie. I think. I'm sorry, not Chris Williams. Chris defensive
Jones,
tackle.
Jones.
Chris Jones. I was gonna say Chris Jones.
I'm an
Chris Jones.
idiot.
I think he is more than likely going to retire. More as he's as likely to retire as Travis Kelce at this point.
Well, I don't know too much about all these guys. All I can tell you is that while just as much as Chris Jones is a champion, so is Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant is a national fucking champion, but he's definitely not a three tech that would be an apples to oranges, replacement. So what's going on with these other guys? Explosive that immediately screams,
Chris Jones replacement.
well, like a three tech, right? That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Are these guys three techs? Versatile with day two potential.
I don't think 6'3", 327 is exactly a three tech.
I mean, this guy's a bit bigger. He just weighs less.
A little quicker usually.
Well, gentlemen, I don't know if I feel comfortable giving him Kenneth Grant. I mean, it's not a good comparison or a good replacement like to fill in, but they need bodies there too. If he's showing an explosive first step, versatile, I just don't know much about him, but I feel like that would be a fine pick for them. Do you say otherwise?
No, I like it.
Let's go for it, man. All right. All right, we've gone to round
Ooh.
two.
This is going to be the easiest fucking round 2 of all time. Jackson Dart at 33.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no issues, complaints with that. Maybe the Giants get really stupid and take another quarterback as well. I doubt it. Wow, they don't have a need at running back? They must really like that kid that they drafted.
Before we go through this, from what I've heard so far, from 45 to about 65, there are going to be 10 running backs that will start in the NFL this year.
I was told by Dane Brugler that there are 12 running backs worthy of going in the top 100. There's just doubts that it happens.
That's what I'm saying. I think from 45 to 65, or from even like 35 to 65, there are going to be 10 fucking running backs.
I'll make another
are starter worthy.
I'll make another guaranteed prearranged marriage. I don't think that Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa, makes it past Denver in this second round.
No chance. I would argue that New York needs a running back.
And the Raiders will be taking one of the Ohio State kids, a.k.a. Travion Henderson. So there's another prearranged marriage. Sorry, I'm doing this draft so far back. As far as the Giants, though, I mean, we're talking about line help. We're talking about a cornerback. Is there a cornerback that's worth going right now? It says that they don't need a defensive tackle. Cornerback. I don't know. Denzel Burke, I thought was a name that I was familiar with. I think I'm just completely mistaken. What are you leaning towards as far as just the need? If they've already drafted a quarterback,
I think with the depth and defense, I think right now, after getting rid of Leonard Williams, I think they just need to get defensive line depth. I think when you're starting a rebuild like the Giants, you get Cam Ward, you get a defensive lineman. I think that's a good start.
Okay, well, I mean, the only one that I can vouch for at this point is Kenneth Grant, and it feels like that would be a fine pairing for them. So let's just go that route. What about your Titans?
Sheesh. I think the Titans need a lot of fucking help. They don't need defensive line. I think that's the only area that they could say that they're covered. L'Jarius Sneed is pretty decent still at cornerback, but they probably need him on the opposite side.
Xavier Watts is a name. Really bad this year.
Xavier Watts is a name I've heard a lot.
Yes.
Just being very rangy, and they need a safety, so I'm gonna just say Xavier Watts and keep this draft going.
And you don't think it's quarterback for these guys because they took Abdul Carter?
Not at this point, because I think they'll get somebody at the top of the third round, like Will Howard, or if you, I'm sorry, scroll down a little bit. I think one of those. I don't think there's going to be a run on
Almighty.
quarterbacks in the second round. I can't fathom all these. Quinn Ewers should be available at the end of the second round, top of the third. And at that point, I'd be okay with that with Will Levis. Like, this is just not the draft for quarterbacks.
I'm also going to say something else stupid because this quarterback right here is terrible, right? Like he was one of the first NIL kids to get the deal because of his last name, and he's terrible. But I really wouldn't be surprised if he was the player that stuck around in the NFL the longest just because he had the prowess. But like these quarterbacks in this draft are just god awful.
Fucking horrible.
Again, your selection was Xavier Watts.
Yes.
Okay. So, Jaguars, they just took the most polarizing, literally on the field as well, player with Travis Hunter, right? So, after your conversation with Taylor Dahl yesterday, you're saying that they also probably need offensive line help at this point?
I would think so.
Is Wyatt Millum? This Jonah guy, that was definitely a name that I heard for the Bears a while ago. I don't care if he's at 42. I think that these tackles are going to be going a little bit sooner. I know what the pick is at 37. So do you want to make a pick for the Jaguars at 36?
I don't know what your pick is at 37. So
It's
I'm
going
gonna
to be
go-
Travion Henderson out of Ohio State.
Ah, you son of a bitch. Yeah, he's so fucking good.
Well, what it is that Chip Kelly, if you guys didn't know, was brought to Las Vegas to be the offensive coordinator, the former Ohio State offensive coordinator. So he's just going to bring his kid back. A lot of momentum for Travion Henderson. It pains me to say that he's going to be drafted before Omarion Hampton, but I think he will because
Carl, I got bad news for you. I think Travion Henderson's the best well-rounded back in this entire fucking draft.
Okay, well, couple different things. When Dane Brugler was asked about the running backs, and obviously from the Bears panel that asked him, they asked about the Knuckles or Sonic situation, right? So, as far as your Sonic, Travion Henderson is the
Absolutely.
player who's the most explosive, the fastest. And then as far as your Knuckles,
He's the best pass blocker in the draft.
I disagree as well. Cam Scattaboo was your Knuckles, right? But for both, the best both in this draft is Omarion Hampton. And I love Omarion Hampton's pass blocking as well. I've seen a lot of good pass pro reps from him. I don't care if I've seen like one bad rep from him. He's great. Again, we're talking about the Jaguars real quick. Do we
Let's
want to
keep it
just
simple
say
with the Jaguars. Let's just go with
Jonah?
offensive line. Yeah, Jonah.
Yeah, this Jonah, and then running back, definitely Quid. I'm sorry, it was Travion Henderson's going to the Raiders
Yes.
at 37.
Yep.
38. We're getting mixed up. I think I'm supposed to be the one to make the even
Correct.
picks. So after they've taken a tackle / guard and Will Campbell, I still feel like they're going to build up the edges or the trenches. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Best
what's this
BTA is Tyleik Williams.
Yeah, what's this Tyleik Williams guy doing?
Oh, looks like a solid rotational 3-tech / nose tackle. Lots of potential.
A dominant physical profile. I can already hear him being compared to the should-be Hall of Famer. I can't think of his
Vince
name.
Wilfork.
Yeah, I mean, there's apples to oranges on the body, right? But definitely I could see that. And
He ain't getting past Mike
he's
Vrabel.
he's a champion, and there's some loose ties for Vrabel to Ohio State. So yeah, let's have
Yep.
Tyleik Williams go to these guys, and then I think you're on the clock here with the Bears.
You ready for it?
Do it.
Cam Scattaboo. No, I'm just fucking with you. Omarion Hampton.
Really?
So
You're just I've
no,
spoken
okay.
it into
No,
existence.
I've thought no. So here's the thing. I've researched a little bit of this, and here's the thing. I don't disagree with. I disagree with you in the DeAndre Swift category. DeAndre Swift is going to be an 800-yard rusher this year, regardless of how Ben Johnson feels about him.
No. Not with
Oh,
Omarion
yeah.
Hampton. I think that DeAndre Swift could be 1,000 yards all purpose for you if they
800
play him in his correct role.
All right, that's fair. 800 yards,
5 and 5,
1,000 all
6 and
purpose.
4.
But here's the issue I have with DeAndre Swift and Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton is a bit of a bruiser, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Omarion Hampton is everything.
Is a little bit of a three down everything back.
He's gonna run a 4.40, and that's why I feel like O'Marion Hampton will not be available for the Bears at 39, because he's just the whole package.
So I'm going to take O'Marion Hampton just because of what I've heard about him and how he's a full three down back. I think he takes over the full-time job next year after DeAndre Swift is released.
I'm an asshole. If I could do it over again, I feel like the Commanders would take O'Marion Hampton. They need a running back really badly.
I disagree.
Why? Because they already have one at quarterback? Anyway, O'Marion Hampton to the Bears at 39.
Yep.
Saints again, safe pick. They've already gone what? The Saints have gone.
We went with defensive end.
Yeah, so I don't know if they want to go back into that route as well. Obviously, Jahad Barron is the top-rated player according to this expert analysis from Pro Football Network. And they need a wide receiver. I feel like there hasn't been a lot of wide receivers taken. None of these guys. I mean, Isaiah Bond. He's going to be a sneaky good receiver in the NFL.
I agree, but he's a third-round guy.
I don't know, man. Are they the Jalen Milroe team?
Are they? That makes a lot of sense.
We're gonna have to put Jalen Milroe in the second round. I feel
we do.
What other teams are gonna go for it?
Dude, it fits perfectly. I think you're.
Or the Seahawks. Crazy. Yeah, let's just put him here. It just makes too much sense to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So again, Bears. We've gone Calvin Banks. We've gone O'Marion Hampton.
I'm going to declare a holy war and go with Jihad Campbell.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. I see what you did there. I'm glad you're the one who said that. My God. Now, this kid is a pass rusher, right?
He's more of a coverage guy. It suggests an edge roll. He's a 3-4 guy. I don't know how we're going to sprinkle him in. All right. I'm going to reclaim my holy war. All right. All right.
Saints need everything. Fact.
Yeah. Xavier Restrepo, I've heard, is pretty good.
Cliff, Washington has 2 running backs they use now, but the bald kid definitely lost them a football game. Can't think of his name. The little kid from the little kid, Austin Eckler.
You got to bring that up. I come on to
Austin Eckler lost them a football game. They're gonna want to get dynamic. So
you start talking about bald people right away.
Start rolling down a little bit, Carl. Just a little bit. Xavier Restrepo's a receiver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm all in on Wyatt Millum. Let's fucking go.
I was gonna say Wyatt Millum. That's why
I'm all in on Wyatt Millum.
Wyatt Millum is another player. Like, I feel like my mock is just like I've set the gold standard, and I'm so proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
And by
those picks
Paul,
right there, I've seen them pop up now in multiple mock drafts we've done, and it just seems like both of those at 39 and 41 right there. If you could get those 2 guys there, it seems like it's just made to be.
Yeah, Paul.
I want to hop on and say that with you guys real
Paul,
quick.
you need to yell at me when I call that my mock, because it's not my mock, it is our mock. And for anyone who is disrespecting Paul, some asshole in the comment section, fuck you. Paul's opinion is just as valuable as anyone else, and even if he doesn't know the fucking wingspan of the fucking 7th best guard in the goddamn SEC, fuck you. So, Paul, gotta defend you on that one, man.
Thank you, man. Coming from a guy who's got a thing against mentally ill people, I really
Hey, fuck it! Threw me right back under the bus.
Taking the lead there. And
well, if I could go back, I'd mock Kyron Lacey to the Bears at 41 then and hope that he can fucking produce. Well, good to see you, Paul.
Yeah,
Jesus.
thank you, guys. Appreciate it. So far, I'm going to let you get back to it. So, right. Thank you, guys.
Imagine the Chiefs 3-peat and then trade Justin Smith. What is going on here? Bradley, I don't know what's going on, bro. Anyway, am I the one making this pick at 42 for the
sure
Jets?
Are, buddy.
Oh, my God. What have they gone at this point? Does it matter? They ended up doing something silly. Cornerback Will Johnson, that's not silly at all. So their secondary is fine. Are they going to double dip at secondary? I doubt it. Is this where another quarterback goes? Like Quinn Ewers? I don't know about that. That feels kind of silly. Do they need a tight end? And are these tight ends ready to go here? What's this Jihad Campbell up to again? Holy War?
He's they basically drafted him last year with that overly skinny kid that they took, who's an exclusive pass rusher. I forgot his name.
You sure that's the Jets, not the Eagles?
Yeah, but they traded him to the Jets from the Eagles as part of the Hassan Reddick thing.
Wait, no, that would be backwards then.
No. I'm sorry. So yeah, no. They did draft him, and they kept him. Hold on. Let me look this up for you.
Jets will do something stupid they usually do. Like, these wide receivers are going to get pushed up because of their 40-yard dash times, even though we probably already know what they are, right? I'm telling you guys, Isaiah Bond is going to be a good football player, man. Kyron Lacey. What's going on here?
Will McDonald. They took him 2 years ago. Will McDonald in 2023, 15th overall. He was 6'3", 230 pounds.
And the Jets also have an iconic, I think his last name is McGregor. He's one of the heroes of the national champion team for Michigan. He's an edge rusher as well, so they don't want to just bury him, in my opinion.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I know. I love the kid. Is this a running back destination like I had alluded to?
I don't think so, buddy.
Cam Scatterboo. You're not going to like what I have to say about the 49ers if you want Cam Scatterboo. I'm deep in the fucking tank, man. I have no idea. I mean, yeah. I could literally see them taking a tight end out of Bowling Green.
Let's keep this simple. Let's just
put it on screen so that Cliff sees it and so that the viewing audience can see later on. Jets will usually do something stupid. They usually do. And with the 42nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green. That is as justifiable as I can make it.
Caleb Johnson to the Niners.
Sure.
Pencil it in.
I mean, again, I think that Caleb Johnson is a much better fit for the Broncos, and we're obviously far off from there. But you don't think Cam Scatterboo goes here either?
No.
Okay.
I think Cam Scatterboo is a little bit more of like a all-production type of guy, but I think in terms of what we're looking at with all well-rounded and Kyle Shanahan, I think Caleb Johnson is perfect.
Yeah, especially after there's still some Achilles issues for McCaffrey. Like they fair play to them. They got a good trade package put together to acquire McCaffrey, but then shame on them for running him into the fucking ground. And I don't know if it was Kyle Shanahan or McCaffrey himself who wanted to get that touchdown record. He got it, but he didn't get a Super Bowl ring. And I hope that it's different this time around for Saquon Barkley. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys, I have been hearing that they want a wide receiver as well.
There's your Isaiah Bond.
I keep saying Isaiah Bond, man. Like,
it makes so much sense.
I'm just gonna do it. No thought into it because again, I'm just feel that strongly on that kid being a good wide receiver in the NFL. Colts at 45 after taking a tight end.
Minus Kenny, what the fuck is his
Moore
name?
The third.
Kenny Moore the third. I can't name a single secondary player, so I'm gonna go BPA with Jahdae Barron.
Yeah,
and keep it simple.
The Falcons at pick 46 after taking, I have no idea what it is.
There's your holy war.
Benjamin? Oh, never mind.
Nope.
Yeah, you think so? I mean, they just need something, right? It doesn't say that they need a linebacker, but their defense is definitely lacking. I can tell you they don't need offensive line help, even if they lose Drew Dalman or whoever that guy is. They don't need offensive line help. They've invested like 5 first-round picks into it. There's proof in the pudding, by the way. You know, you guys want an offensive line so badly. Ha ha ha. Falcons got it. They don't have a quarterback. Trey Amos? Is this...
You said they have a secondary, so I'm going to say with Landon Jackson has been a name I've been hearing about a lot. But
that's the guy that we selected in our mock draft, and he's definitely he's the prototypical Dennis Allen 4-3 defensive end.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the Falcons play on defense. I can't think of it. I think it's 4-3.
Pretty standard 4-3, yeah.
If you hold on.
We did take Princely Umwalium. I heard that name today too.
Yeah, Princely I think is a good fit here, just for the simple fact that he's probably going to be selected well before pick 46. So let's go Princely. Cardinals again. They've got
Trey
no one on
Amos.
defense. Yeah, I mean it's not an. I like this Jihad Campbell if you're okay with it actually, because you said that
Cardinals do run a more of a 3-4.
he's like 3-4, very representative of what the Vikings do without playing any defensive tackles.
Yeah, versatile linebacker, yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. I like that a lot. Now we're looking at the Dolphins again after selecting. Can't remember. Tyler Booker.
Jalen Ramsey is their only cornerback at this point, so I think a nice corner there with Trey Amos would make sense.
Says they need line safety, but I mean, they could just figure that situation out. I'm definitely okay with Amos being selected here. Bengals, after they've selected, what did they select? Malachi Starks, the safety. It doesn't say that the team needs a wide receiver now, but they would need a wide receiver to replace T. Higgins potentially. It just something tells me that they're going to be the one who goes offensive line as well.
I disagree. I think their defense has been what let them down the last like 3-4 years. So they're going to invest heavily on defense and then just kind of.
They just brought in the Notre Dame guy as well. Is there any Notre Dame?
Landon Jackson. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is like 31 at this point.
It doesn't say they need it, but
they need some pass rush.
What's this Deion Walker guy?
Holy fuck. 6'7", 340. That's a goddamn boy in the middle. That makes perfect sense. That's what they need. Give me Deion Walker.
Yeah, let's go for it. Not want this to be lost in translation as well. The Bengals have the great Chris Jenkins Jr., the mutant from Michigan, so he's going to hopefully flourish next to that kid.
He's definitely a 3. He's a 3 tech.
Cliff Victoria asks, who names a kid Jihad? Holy war. This is unbelievable. The Seahawks. Seahawks need a second tackle maybe. They've already drafted one in this exercise. They're looking at edge. Are they a quarterback destination? Something tells me they are, but is Quinn Ewers going at pick 50? Doesn't feel
I think there's a run on quarterbacks coming, but I don't think it's right now.
I mean, do they need an edge? I'm going to mock them Jack Sawyer, because Jack Sawyer, who is going to be a first-round pick. I need to start writing these. I literally have to write this down. Like, I'm going to have some draft tenets of the draft. Jack Sawyer, first round. But in this exercise, he's going to go pick 50 to the Seattle Seahawks, and they would be elated for that, obviously. What about these Broncos? I was the one who said that they would be getting running back.
Yep. We're going with Cam Scattaboo.
Don't they have like a really bad bruiser? Is it Javonte Williams, or did he leave?
Yeah, but he's absolutely useless.
Okay. I mean, I like the CT connection with the mastermind, Sean Payton. Let's go Cam Scattaboo here. Fantastic. Seahawks. Steelers. Now, is this the Quinn Ewers destination for the Steelers? Again,
I think so.
Steelers already.
Honestly, before Quinn Ewers.
Whoa, they got Matthew Golden as well. Pencil it in. I love it. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with
Ewers?
it. Okay. Quinn Ewers throwing the ball to his Texas teammate.
Yep.
I actually want Bears to take Walker out of Kentucky. I mean, he's pretty massive, isn't he? We just checked him not too long ago.
Yeah, that's a perfect fit for Dennis Allen.
Okay, Quinn Ewers off the board here. Now we're looking at the Buccaneers again. I really don't think that wide receiver is a need, man.
I don't think so either. I mean, really, all they're losing is number 14. I'm sorry. I'm blanking.
I'm blanking here at this point as well, man. Again, the Buccaneers in this exercise have taken Jalen Walker, linebacker, who I believe is an edge rusher. Yes? No?
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, I don't know if they're going to go double dip on defense. Maybe. Is there a secondary player that's worth a damn at this point? These names are not sticking out. Again, only name that's sticking out is Denzel Burke, and I think that's for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Hit me with the all. Landon Jackson screams replacement for Shaq Barrett long term. So I'm gonna go double dip on defense and take Landon Jackson.
Can I sway you to JTT?
Nope.
You cannot. Okay, that's fine.
Nah.
I don't know. Landon Jackson feels like he's going to fit better in a 4-3, and I do know that the Buccaneers play like in
Shaq Barrett's a little
four
bit of
down.
an underside too, though.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett, and by the way, Shaq Barrett, like he's not. He was gone. He got traded to the Dolphins and retired. So he came back and he kind of was going to help him gear up for this run, but it just didn't work out. Unfortunately.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Jaden Daniels. If you feel solid on Landon Jackson going here, I'm okay with it.
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Green Bay Packers. They need an edge, apparently. I can't remember what they already drafted in this exercise. They drafted Siobhan Revel at cornerback. I think that they are going to double down and say we've got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think that JTT is another player like that. JTT, probably a top 50 player. I'm going to have to write that one down too. So JTT here to the Packers makes sense to me. Now we're talking about the former
Here's your
University
running
of
back.
Michigan. Didn't they already draft one?
Who do we take?
No, they just drafted a tight end. That's right. So yeah, running back again for them. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen, right?
There's your Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, I like it. I
Yep.
think that he'd be able to get the most out of him. I think it's a decent enough fit, especially if they can't get either of Omarion Hampton or dude. I can't think of his name. Ashton Genty. Packers are annoyed Tampa took Jackson. Landon Jackson is still there. Yeah. Packers probably like this is a legitimate scenario, like a flip flop here. That's what I tried for, but back-to-back edges at 53 and 54, I'm okay with that. So the Bills, I can't remember what they drafted. I can't remember anything at this point. They took a defensive tackle, Walter Nolan. Do they want to add a
They're
wide
still going
receiver
defense, man.
to the stable? Yeah, I'd say so as well. Cornerback. Kyle Kennard was a name I've been hearing too. God, I'm for the wrong reasons. I see T.J. Sanders, South Carolina defensive tackle, and I just think of Zach Pickens, and it just makes me cringe. Any inkling as far as the Bills? You said defense, right?
I think so.
I mean, according to this analysis, after this cornerback, there's a huge drop off. So, do you have any issues with the Bills taking a corner?
None.
Okay, I'm all for it, man. Panthers, I can't remember what they took. Oh, wide receiver. Now it feels like they also have to go defense.
I agree. Best defensive player available is
Barrett Carter.
Go for it.
Maybe they'll be the stupid one. Do they need a tackle? No, apparently not. They need edge help. What's this kid doing?
Yeah, I think we're at the point where we don't know these guys as much.
By the draft, we will all know these. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do... is this a kid who just had all the tools? Yeah. No, I think that they need some sort of spark at the edge. So this Donovan guy, I'm going to go here. Unless the Spirit
Go for
Carter is
it.
the same thing. The longevity... Goodness gracious, there's just so many words. Donovan, I'm going to have you go here. Do these guys, the Texans, double down at offensive line as well? What did they take? Jesus Christ.
We did take an offensive lineman.
Yeah, Cameron Williams, a tackle. They might want to double up and go interior, but they're not going to both start.
They might. I would take defense with D'Amico Ryans and how he loves linebacker play.
What
Also,
happened
they
to
need a wide. No, they need a wide receiver desperately after Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell being out. Xavier Restrepo is a name I've heard a lot, and they need a wide receiver desperately.
Is this a little another pipsqueak though? Like, are they just like
It is. It's another
white
Tank Dell.
flagging on Tank Dell's career being over?
I mean, wouldn't you?
C.J. Stroud wouldn't like that. I can tell you that. Yeah, I mean, find holes in coverages. This feels like it would be a good, match with C.J. Stroud. So let's just go with this guy. I have no issues with it. So why is this Trey Harris guy falling so far? 6'2", 205. Really not that big. He's kind of tall. I mean, we're looking at it like this just feels like another Baltimore Ravens move for them to take a wide receiver.
Absolutely.
Though. All right, let's just throw it up. I'm okay with that.
Can
Lions.
I'm gonna go. Can I give you one?
Yeah.
Will Howard.
Quarterback?
Yeah.
For these guys?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, that's.
I don't. I mean, I don't believe in Jared Goff in the next 2-3 years.
I feel like they will elect to go a different route, but if that's what you feel like,
I mean, you're the evens, buddy. I'm just giving you a suggestion.
they took Mike Green. Do they need an offensive lineman to replace like Zeitler? I don't think so. I think they have the replacement on the roster already. I would tell you that they absolutely like require a cornerback to compete because again, Terry and Arnold has already busted out of the NFL in my mind. But this just doesn't seem like it's lining up. There's no way that they go back-to-back defensive line, though.
I'm in San Juan.
They're probably going to take someone terrible. Let's go. Let's go for it. I don't care. Will Howard at quarterback. I'm all for it. Now we're talking about Redskins after they passed up a running back. DJ Giddens, is this the scat back, quote-unquote?
Let's do it. Pencil him in.
His ability to be a reliable pass blocker. Yeah, I mean, again, I feel strongly on these running backs going this high.
Yep.
Bills took what again? A defensive
Then we took
tackler.
a defensive lineman.
Yeah, Walter Nolan. So, as far as our needs, they wouldn't pass on a good tackle if one was there, but where would he play? He wouldn't play right tackle, or he wouldn't play left tackle anyway. Wide receiver. I'm deep in the tank at this point, man. Is there a like Kyle Kennard? I love Foster so much. If you want to throw that on the screen for giggles. He says Vasher is still third cornerback on Lions. He clearly means Kindle Vildor, but my God, what a fucking shout. I'm about to run and grab my Nathan Vasher jersey. Oh my God. Great shout, Foster. I appreciate you, man. Oh my God. Throw up Kyle Kennard for the Bills? I don't know.
See, this is where I disagree with Foster. I think they are better as a wide receiver by committee.
And they're supposed to have two really good tight ends, but we all know that one of them lost that football game for them. So
Yeah.
I'm hearing that this tight end class is very, very deep. Like Gunnar Helm is good. Maybe Gunnar Helm might be a good fit for the Redskins. It just feels like the Bills are in the mode of protecting their quarterback and attacking the other quarterback.
Yep.
Let's just take this Kyle Kennard. I've heard this name. I feel like as an edge rusher, it is what it is. And the Eagles, after they've taken their Project Carr defensive lineman, their edge rusher.
I'm going to go with Eric Ionomar because I think Devontae Smith is not long for the Eagles' world. I think they're going to stick to AJ
There's a
Brown.
problem. There's a problem. Never mind. Where did he go? Abuka went to the Rams. That's what it was. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't see both of those wide receivers sticking around long term, and they're going to need a replacement long term. Whether A.J. Brown is a diva or Devontae Smith ends up leaving, because I don't think you pay Devontae Smith if you're a fucking smart team. I think you need to start drafting your replacements at wide receiver. Or, hear me out, Will Howard.
Will Howard for who?
Will Howard.
I'm lost in the sauce right now. Will Howard was selected by the Detroit Lions in this exercise.
Oh, did we? I'm sorry. I thought you left Will Howard away. So
did you just suggest that the Eagles would find a replacement at quarterback at 63? Because I'm all for that, by the way.
I mean, if you're taking whoever's left, if I think we took Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, and Quinn Ewers already, so I don't think there's anybody left.
So you're saying wide receiver for the Eagles?
Yeah.
Any preferences to any of these three?
Nope. Top on the board.
Should we just give it? Should we give them Kyron Lacey for the giggles because he's literally a murderer? I'm not going to do that.
LSU is hilarious. LSU gives the best receivers that also are murderers.
Oh my god, this is unbelievable. Okay, last final pick for the quote unquote Super Bowl winners. Are they replacing? Yeah. The Chiefs are replacing Trey Smith in this exercise. Donovan Jackson, the national champion, seems like a good size. Seems like a big boy. Let's just give them Donovan Jackson and call it a day. Fuck it.
Woo!
I like it.
Boys, that was fucking rough.
Yeah.
Towards the end, because that shit is going to change tremendously.
Make it full screen for everyone real quick.
Yep.
Just so that we can get the full picture involved here. So again, it totally butchers it. Anyway, there's your first round, and again, you can't see the date. Can I do anything about that? You can see barely February 4th, 2025, right? This is what we're looking at. And then second round. Oh, it doesn't show you the second round? Round 2. There's a little bit of a run on quarterbacks, right? Jackson Dart. Where did Milroe went at 40? Then we started getting Mimi with Quinn Ewers and Will Howard. So I think the draft speaks for itself. There's a lot of question marks. Obviously, I'm gonna see if I can download these.